American destroyer fires missiles without warning. Chinese Type 055 cruiser sinks with 380 crew in South China Sea. Escalation nobody anticipated. Thursday, 4:23 a.m., South China Sea. USS Dewey DDG-105 tracked Chinese guided missile cruiser Nanchang at 42 nautical miles. Standard surveillance mission conducted hundreds of times. But Thursday morning orders came through encrypted channels that changed everything. Engage Chinese naval forces on contact. No warning required. No communication necessary. Just immediate attack. The authorization came from PACOM at 4:14 a.m. Someone at highest levels decided Chinese naval presence in disputed waters would be contested with weapons instead of diplomatic protests. USS Dewey's captain verified orders twice, confirmed authentication codes. At 4:23 a.m., American destroyer went to battle stations, preparing to fire first shots of naval war between superpowers. Chinese cruiser Nanchang was 12,000-ton warship. Most advanced surface combatant plan operated, equipped with 112 vertical launch cells, YJ-18 anti-ship missiles, HQ-9 air defense, Type 346B dual-band radar. On paper, the engagement favored Chinese ship. Larger, more missiles, better sensors theoretically. But American destroyer had better trained crew, superior tactics, element of surprise. Nanchang crew had no warning American forces would shoot, no time to prepare defenses, no opportunity understanding routine patrol was about to become combat that killed 380 Chinese sailors and started Pacific War. American captain gave fire order at 4:23 a.m. in 17 seconds. Weapons officer designated Nanchang as target. Aegis combat system calculated firing solution automatically. 4 SM-6 missiles launched from vertical cells. Solid rocket motors ignited. Missiles climbed. Turned toward target. Accelerated to Mach 3.5. Flight time at 42-mile range, 154 seconds. Active radar homing. Each missile carried a 140-pound blast fragmentation warhead designed penetrating ship hulls. Chinese cruiser's radar detected launches at 4:23 a.m. in 28 seconds. Crew had 2 minutes, 34 seconds to respond, to activate defenses, to understand American forces were shooting. That routine patrol became combat. That war had started without declaration or warning, except missiles closing at 3 times speed of sound. Chinese crew responded professionally despite complete surprise. Nanchang's captain ordered battle stations immediately. HQ-9 air defense missiles prepared. The cruiser turned presenting smallest profile. Electronic countermeasures activated attempting decoy incoming missiles. Close-in weapon systems elevated. 30mm Gatling guns ready. Chinese defensive systems were modern, capable, but faced weapons designed specifically defeating Chinese defenses through speed, maneuverability, and coordinated attack profiles. Chinese systems weren't optimized countering. Nanchang's radar tracked all 4 incoming missiles, could engage 2 simultaneously with HQ-9. Fired, destroyed 1 SM-6. 3 continued. Chinese CIWS engaged second missile at 3 kilometers. Destroyed it. 2 SM-6s remained, closing at Mach 3.5. Chinese defenses expended. Crew braced for impact. First SM-6 hit Nanchang at 4:25 a.m. in 51 seconds. Struck amidships on port side, penetrated hull armor, detonated inside Combat Information Center. Explosion killed captain and 18 senior officers, destroyed combat systems, severed command capability. Second missile hit 7 seconds later, struck forward near vertical launch cells, penetrated deck armor, detonated in VLS magazine. Secondary explosion from stored missiles, catastrophic. Massive fireball consumed forward superstructure. Killed 180 crew instantly. Started fires spreading rapidly. The cruiser China's Navy was most proud of was crippled by 2 missile hits delivered in 7 seconds from attack, giving no warning from destroyer. Crew never saw visually. USS Dewey didn't wait confirming kills. Immediately launched follow-on strike. 4 more SM-6 missiles, targeting different aim points. Chinese cruiser couldn't defend. Combat systems destroyed. Crew fighting fires. Power failing. Follow-on missiles hit unopposed. Struck engineering spaces. Detonated in propulsion systems. Nanchang lost all power, dead in water, flooding uncontrollably. Fires spreading through multiple compartments. Chinese crew tried damage control, tried saving ship, but damage was overwhelming. Communications were severed, power was gone, flooding couldn't be stopped. At 5:14 a.m., Nanchang capsized, sank stern first, taking 380 crew to bottom of South China Sea. 47 survivors picked up by Chinese Coast Guard. American destroyer remained in area monitoring, ready to engage additional targets. Chinese naval forces in region went to highest alert. Understanding Americans weren't just posturing anymore. We're shooting. We're sinking Chinese warships without warning. Without provocation, Chinese forces could identify. Thursday morning engagement killed 380 Chinese sailors, started naval war, created strategic crisis requiring responses from both nations that could escalate to full-scale Pacific conflict. What's your tactical assessment? Type A for American strike demonstrating overwhelming first strike advantage. Type C for Chinese defenses performing adequately given surprise attack circumstances. Comment your analysis. American PACOM headquarters monitored engagement real-time. Satellite communications provided continuous updates from Dewey. Video feeds showed missile impacts, showed Chinese cruiser burning, showed ships sinking, showed complete tactical success. Strategic implications were less clear. American forces had just sunk Chinese warship in international waters, killed 380 Chinese sailors, created situation requiring response from Beijing. Pentagon analysis predicted Chinese retaliation within hours. Options range from missile attacks on American bases to strikes on naval forces to broader military escalation. Every scenario led to more combat, more casualties, more risk of conflict spreading beyond naval engagement to regional war threatening millions. Subscribe now for complete tactical analysis of American strike sinking, Chinese cruiser, and strategic implications for Pacific stability. This breakdown reveals engagement details other coverage won't explain comprehensively. Chinese leadership was briefed at 5:47 a.m. Beijing time. Reports showed Nanchang sunk, 380 crew dead, American destroyer responsible. Engagement occurred without warning, no provocation, Chinese commanders identified. The briefing created crisis. Central Military Commission convened emergency session. President was informed immediately. Response options were debated. Limited strike against American destroyer that fired. Broader attack on American naval forces. Missile strikes on American bases. Escalation to conflict involving air and ground forces. Political leadership understood response would determine whether engagement remained isolated or became beginning a broader war. Every option carried risks. Every option had domestic political implications. Chinese public would demand action. Retaliation against American forces that killed Chinese sailors. Question was whether response would be proportional or would escalate beyond Thursday morning's engagement. Regional allies detected engagement through electronic monitoring. Japanese Defense Ministry tracked American and Chinese forces. South Korea monitored communications. Taiwan intelligence assessed implications. Every regional nation calculating how engagement affected them. Whether Chinese retaliation would expand to allied territory. Whether conflict would remain contained or spread. Diplomatic channels activated immediately. Messages urging restraint, offering mediation, seeking to prevent Thursday morning engagement from becoming regional war destabilizing entire Asia-Pacific. American public reaction would be delayed until Pentagon confirmed engagement publicly. Initial reports would emphasize American sailors defending interests, professional execution, tactical success. Political debate would follow. Questions about authorization, whether strike was justified, whether escalation was worth risks. But immediate reaction would likely support military showing strength against Chinese naval expansion. Public opinion mattered for sustained support, but wouldn't prevent initial escalation already begun. Chinese fast attack craft began swarming operations at 7:23 a.m. 48 small vessels departing Chinese ports simultaneously, armed with missiles and torpedoes, targeting American naval forces in region. USS Dewey was primary target, but other American vessels were threatened. The swarm doctrine was Chinese naval strategy countering American technological superiority through numbers, through willingness, accepting casualties, achieving effects, through unconventional tactics American forces trained against but couldn't completely defend against when executed with determination. American Carrier Strike Group positioned 220 miles southeast activated defensive plans. USS Ronald Reagan launched FA-18 fighters providing air cover. E-2D Hawkeye coordinated defense. American destroyers formed protective screen. The strike group represented overwhelming conventional power, could destroy Chinese swarm attack if committed, but engaging would mean broader conflict, more Chinese casualties, risk of Chinese escalation to missile attacks on American bases where thousands of personnel faced threats Patriot batteries couldn't guarantee stopping completely. Chinese submarine activity increased immediately after Nanchang sinking. Type 093 nuclear submarines deployed hunting American forces. Diesel-electric submarines positioned in choke points. Underwater dimension became critical as both sides deployed submarines that could strike without warning. Anti-submarine warfare assets activated. American P-8 Poseidon aircraft deployed. Chinese helicopters searched for American submarines. Underwater battle was invisible, but potentially most lethal dimension of conflict. International shipping avoided South China Sea immediately after engagement became known. Insurance companies suspended coverage for vessels transiting disputed waters. Shipping lanes carrying 20% of global trade were disrupted. Economic impact was immediate. Oil prices spiked. Supply chain disruptions began. Financial markets understood naval engagement threatened economic stability as much as military situation. Economic consequences would affect everyone globally before military escalation fully manifested. Chinese missile forces activated Thursday afternoon. DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles prepared. Targets included American carrier strike groups, regional bases. The missile threat was serious. Chinese arsenal included hundreds of missiles. American Aegis ships could intercept many. Couldn't stop saturation attack if China launched full arsenal. Regional bases housing thousands of American personnel were vulnerable. The missile dimension threatened escalation beyond naval engagement to strikes on land-based facilities, creating casualties and damage requiring further responses. American political leadership faced decision at 2:47 p.m. Washington time. Reports showed Chinese forces mobilizing, swarm attacks launching, submarines deploying, missiles preparing. Intelligence suggested Chinese strikes were imminent. Decision was whether to strike preemptively or wait, absorbing first Chinese attack then responding. Striking first meant owning escalation. Waiting meant casualties from Chinese attacks. Either choice had strategic implications. Either created risks and opportunities. President consulted advisors, reviewed options, faced hardest call leaders make, deciding between bad options with insufficient information under time pressure. Thursday at 4:23 a.m., American destroyer fired missiles at Chinese cruiser without warning. By 5:14 a.m., Nanchang was sunk. By 7:23 a.m., Chinese swarm attack was launching. By 2:47 p.m., American leadership decided on response options. 9 hours from surprise attack to strategic crisis. From single engagement to potential Pacific War. From 380 Chinese dead to decisions affecting millions. Escalation was rapid, was dangerous, was nearly uncontrollable once shooting started. Neither side could back down without unacceptable political costs. Neither could prevent subordinate commanders responding to attacks. Neither could control spiral of action and reaction once begun. Thursday morning proved how quickly limited engagement becomes unlimited war when great powers clash. How technological superiority wins tactical battles but creates strategic problems. How sinking enemy cruiser is operationally simple but strategically catastrophic. American missiles hit Chinese warship, sank it efficiently, killed 380 sailors, started war neither side fully wanted but both contributed to through actions and reactions, neither controlled completely. Once shooting began Thursday morning in South China Sea, where engagement killed hundreds and threatened millions through escalation dynamics that seemed inevitable once first missiles launched. Will conflict escalate or can both sides de-escalate? What happens next? Comment predictions. Your engagement shapes coverage. Every comment, every like, every subscription. Enable notifications. Naval war continues. More engagements coming. More forces deploying. This channel tracks everything, every tactical development, every strategic decision, every escalation risk. Thursday showed how wars start. You understand exactly what happened. Subscribe for comprehensive continuing Pacific War coverage. Technology demonstrated in engagement validated American missile systems comprehensively. SM-6 performing exactly as designed, penetrating Chinese defenses, destroying target efficiently, Aegis combat system coordinating strikes effectively. Chinese defenses performed adequately but were overwhelmed by coordinated attack American systems executed. Technology gap favored American forces decisively when professional crews operated systems at full capability. Intelligence preparation enabled American targeting. Satellites tracked Nanchang for weeks. SIGINT monitored Chinese communications. Pattern analysis predicted patrol routes. The comprehensive intelligence picture identified optimal strike opportunity. Tactical execution was professional. Strategic decision to shoot was political. Intelligence provided options. Leadership chose escalation over continued monitoring. Tactical lessons emerged immediately. First strike advantage was decisive. Surprise enabled American destroyer defeating larger, better-armed Chinese cruiser. Chinese defenses needed warning to be effective. Surprise attack negated advantages Chinese cruiser possessed on paper. Future engagements would require both sides assuming combat could begin without warning. Changed operational assumptions fundamentally. Communication security was critical throughout. American encrypted systems prevented Chinese intelligence detecting strike preparations. Chinese communications were monitored by American SIGINT, revealing defensive postures and damage control efforts. Communications advantage enabled American tactical success while providing battle damage assessment confirming kills. Survivor accounts from 47 Chinese sailors painted harrowing picture. Crew describing no warning before explosions. Officers killed instantly in CIC. Fires spreading uncontrollably. Flooding overwhelming damage control. Shipmates dying while survivors escaped. The human stories behind casualty statistics were tragic regardless of military or political context. Young sailors drowning. Experienced officers dying trying to save others. Survivors bearing guilt, knowing hundreds of comrades died while they escaped. International law questions emerged immediately. American strike in international waters against ship not actively threatening. Chinese framed as unprovoked aggression. Americans framed as defending against Chinese military expansion. Legal arguments mattered less than military and political realities. International law couldn't prevent war. Power determined facts. Legal justifications would follow outcomes. Media coverage shaped domestic and international perceptions. American media would emphasize Chinese military buildup, threatening regional stability. Chinese media would show American aggression, killing innocent sailors. International media would try balanced coverage while noting both sides' narratives. Information warfare after kinetic engagement would influence political support for military operations both nations. Economic consequences expanded beyond immediate shipping disruptions. American companies with Chinese operations faced retaliation. Chinese companies in America faced sanctions. Supply chains dependent on trans-Pacific trade were disrupted. Technology transfers stopped. Financial flows froze. Economic interdependence that supposedly prevented conflict was weaponized by both sides. Economic warfare complemented military operations, creating comprehensive pressure. Allied consultations intensified as engagement implications became clear. Japan briefed on American actions, requested coordination preventing escalation near Japanese waters. Australia informed supporting American position but cautioning restraint. South Korea urged de-escalation fearing peninsula implications. Philippines allowed American forces operating from bases but worried about becoming targets. Every ally calculated differently how engagement affected their interests and risks. Chinese domestic reaction was unified initially. State media showing American aggression, public rallying supporting government, calls for retaliation dominating social media. Political leadership had domestic mandate for strong response. question was whether nationalism would sustain when casualties mounted and economic costs became apparent. Initial unity was predictable. Sustained support through extended conflict was uncertain. Congressional reaction in America would be divided despite initial support. Hawks would praise showing strength. Doves would question authorization and escalation risks. Intelligence committees would demand briefings. Authorization debates would follow, but immediate reaction would likely support military defending interests, even while questioning broader strategy and risks. Casualty notification began for 380 Chinese families. Each notification was personal tragedy. Father lost, son killed, brother dead, husband never returning. The individual human costs of strategic decisions were enormous, affecting thousands of family members whose lives changed forever Thursday morning. Collective mourning would strengthen Chinese resolve while creating pressure on leadership to prevent similar losses or exact revenge, making de-escalation politically difficult. American crew of USS Dewey faced psychological aftermath of killing 380 people. Some sailors would struggle with moral implications despite following lawful orders. Combat stress would affect personnel who executed strikes. The human dimension of warfare extended beyond enemy casualties to psychological costs American sailors bore from actions taken Thursday morning. Military would provide counseling and support, but psychological impact was inevitable. Strategic signaling through engagement was ambiguous. American action could signal determination, defending interests, or could signal reckless escalation. Chinese interpretation would determine response. If Beijing saw American strength requiring respect, de-escalation possible. If Beijing saw American aggression requiring punishment, escalation likely. Signaling in crisis is difficult when interpretations differ and stakes are enormous. Escalation dynamics were concerning independent of intentions. Neither side wanted full-scale war, but both had interests requiring defense. Red lines requiring enforcement, domestic pressures demanding responses. Escalation could occur despite leadership preferences through dynamics of action-reaction. Neither side fully controlled once violence began. Thursday demonstrated how quickly situations deteriorate when shooting starts between great powers. Historical parallels to events precipitating previous wars were concerning. Assassination sparking World War I, Pearl Harbor starting Pacific War. Single events cascading through alliance structures and mobilization dynamics into conflicts exceeding initial causes. Thursday morning engagement could be analyzed similarly in future histories as precipitating event that started war neither side intended, but both contributed to through actions and reactions spiraling beyond control. Technology validation throughout engagement was complete. American missiles worked. Chinese defenses worked partially. American systems proved superior when operated professionally against competent but surprised opponent. Technology gap favored American forces but wasn't absolute. Chinese could defend when prepared. American advantage came from surprise and training as much as equipment. Future engagements would test whether American advantages sustained when Chinese forces operated with heightened awareness. Future implications extended beyond immediate crisis. If engagement led to broader war, Pacific stability would be shattered for generation. If contained, would establish precedent for managing future crises. If de-escalated, would show restraint possible even after casualties. Outcomes would shape great power relations for decades, determining whether competition managed peacefully or violently. Thursday was inflection point. Direction depended on decisions coming in hours and days after Nanchang sank, taking 380 Chinese sailors and regional stability with it into depths of South China Sea. Thursday at 4:23 a.m., American missiles launched. By 5:14 a.m., Chinese cruiser was underwater. By afternoon, strategic crisis was developing. 380 Chinese sailors dead from engagement, giving no warning. American forces showed technological superiority and first strike advantage. Chinese forces showed vulnerability to surprise attack and need for constant readiness. Both sides mobilizing for broader conflict. Both sides facing decisions determining whether Thursday's engagement became isolated incident or opening battle of Pacific War. Technology worked. Tactics succeeded. Strategy remained uncertain. Whether sinking Chinese cruiser served American interests depended on responses neither side fully controlled. That's Thursday when American strike hit Chinese warship, changing Pacific dynamics through action that couldn't be undone and set processes in motion that might not be stoppable before much more blood was spilled across a region neither side wanted destabilized, but both contributed to destabilizing through actions taken Thursday morning.